Jerome Smith, Syracuse Orange Running Back alum, and the current Bucknell Bison running backs coach. He also is a guy who knows what it's like to get 1,000 yards in a season. And I still love when I see little kids wearing number 45 around Syracuse and beyond. So with that being said, Mr. Smith is in the building. Jerome, how we doing?
Dan, what's up, bro? How we doing?
I'm
It's been a
doing.
while.
I know, man. It's been a minute. I'm happy that we got to do this. Got to get you back here on the show. So, I mean, the most important thing is how is life? How is family? Give me updates. Are people, our little ones getting big now? I got to know what's going on.
Man, everybody's good, man. Everybody's healthy.
Good.
Shoot, like you saying, man. Everybody's getting big. Everybody's doing what doing what they intended to do, man. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy watching everybody develop and, grow up right in front of my eyes. But shoot, I'm busy, man. I'm busy. I'm busy in the business, so shoot. When I get a chance to sit back and, obviously be home for a little bit of time, um, I enjoy it, man. So it's good for me. Everybody's good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Just had my birthday and
Yeah,
got to celebrate. Got to have some fun. My mom and my dad pulled off a surprise party. My mom had to like the way that my mom got in touch because she didn't have like numbers to people. So
yeah, sure.
she drove places like she like knew where people worked. So she drove out and like, are they there? They're not there that day. She goes back the next day. My mom went on social
Yeah.
media. She found all these people. So not only did like my parents surprise me, but they did it in such a way that it was like, man, how'd you get all these people here and how'd you know and all that. So I had a great birthday. I got to work on a
Wa-
movie. I
Was it
can't.
40? Was it 40th?
It's 40. Yeah.
Man, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations,
Thank you,
bro.
sir. I don't know what 40 is supposed to feel like, but I feel good. And so I got to work on a movie. I can't really talk about it, but I
Okay.
got to work on a movie. I got so God knows my heart, and on my birthday, I got asked if I would be if I would if I could do something, and I got the confirmation, and it was one of the best experiences in my life. It unlocked it opened up something inside. I don't want to say it unlocked because it was there, but it was a different type of excitement and happiness and energy that I had. And so I hope I get to keep doing it. I am really excited about it. I'm excited about the day I get to talk about it. So, but it was really a ton of fun. And yeah, man, I just, there's a lot of things that have been wonderful. My dog is good. So my
There
little
we go.
girl, she's great. And my little daughter, Lily. And so, yeah, she's rocking and rolling and being awesome. And, parents are good. Parents are healthy. And yeah, I mean, listen, I wake up every day and God goes, hey, you know that thing that makes you feel like you're in a playground? You get to do that again. So I'm very
No
happy
doubt.
to do that. And man, before, I mean, you know that we're always real on and off the air. So, I mean, the first thought when I saw your face was like, man, I love that guy. So, I mean, I just want to
I
say first
appreciate
and
it, bro.
foremost that
Much love, man. I
you
appreciate that.
I love you.
Yeah,
So,
man.
and that's so I mean there's so many things to talk about and I'm going to start with Bucknell because Syracuse football
Yeah.
right now is make me sad. So but I do want to talk about what's going on in Bucknell. There's some good running backs on Syracuse. I wish they gave them the ball more, but let's talk about the Bucknell Bison and what's going on,
Yeah.
how you became the running backs coach. I know you've been to different places, you've challenged yourself in different areas. So how did you end up at Bucknell and then bring me into how it's been going?
Man, this spring, I just wanted to look for a new opportunity. I wanted to look for an opportunity in the Patriot League. And it was kind of, I mean, if you're familiar with the Patriot League, it's a high academic, conference. So it's some schools with some really, really tough qualifications to get into school. And that brought on a new challenge in recruiting. That brought on a new challenge in student athlete that you work with. So shoot, man, I was willing to take that chance. And if you're familiar with what's going on right now in the Patriot League, we're probably becoming one of the top FCS conferences in the country. William and Mary coming over next year, and Villanova will be over next year. Um, so it's a really good conference. Obviously, we still had Holy Cross, we still had Lafayette, the Colgates and Fordhams of the world. So you still got really good programs in the conference, but you got some really good teams headed over to the conference. So that was one of the deals, obviously, for getting me over here. It was the challenge. I had been at Robert Morris for 2 years, and we had went from a 4-7 team to a 7-5 team. You've obviously done some things well. It was time to move on and take on a new challenge for yourself.
Yeah, you said you wanted to get into the Patriot League, and you said, that this is obviously a league that's becoming really strong in the FCS and the NCAA Division One, AA. So, I mean, was that kind of the pull for you? Like, I'm seeing this league really grow into something. I'm seeing this be like a really special place where I'm going to get challenged a lot. Or was there something else about the Patriot League that just commanded you to feel like, hey, I got to get over there?
Well, I think it was the overall Patriot League move in general. Like I said, it was one of those deals to get to somewhere where it's high academic student athletes, and that was kind of um, just a different realm than I've been in. I've been in obviously at Morgan State, and I've been at Robert Morris, where you can pretty much deal with some different GPAs. Here at Bucknell, we pretty much really can't go below a 3.3 with student athletes. Again, the talent has to match up, but also the academic component have to match up. So it's a little bit different for you. And like I said, I thought that would be a different challenge for me, um, and it was something that obviously, wanting to be in this business a long time, you had to take that challenge on and learn a little bit. Um, for right now. And obviously, later on, I found out that those teams would come to the conference and they would add those different challenges. So, obviously, looking forward to next year. We got Richmond in the conference now. So then, like I said, William and Mary and Villanova will come next year.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about this is, we talk about conference realignment, and there's people focusing on the SEC and the Big Ten and the ACC
Yeah,
and what they're going to do in the Big 12 and whatnot. And here's the Patriot League growing and growing and growing and growing as well. And what I love about what you said is you can't have a GPA that goes under 3.3, and obviously
yeah,
3.3 to 4.0, right? That's a tight window right there. But what does that do for you as a coach to know that you have that caliber of student, not just the athlete, but the student
yeah,
side of it? Because when you have somebody that's got to have a 3.3 or better, I push myself to always go for the 4.0 and be at the 4.0. And in my major, I was 3.93, and overall, I was 3.82. So, I mean, I definitely value all that. And I know that it takes a lot. There's personal responsibility, there's focus, there's
yeah.
structure, there's a lot of things you need to have. So, when you're on a football team that doesn't really care about grades, you might be fighting and clawing to try and find someone to be structured, to listen, to be consistent. Do you feel like being at Bucknell, knowing that the student side is so important, that you have a better culture, a better environment where you're not essentially begging a kid to go to class, begging somebody to be structured, begging somebody to have responsibility? Do you feel like it's kind of raised the bar for who you're around right now?
I do believe that, but even as a player, we learned. I know one of the things that Coach Marone would always say is those things correlate typically. You're
Yeah.
doing well in school, you're typically going to do well on the football field. When those things start to lack, it'll probably start to show up in your football life. But I think one of the things that you get as a coach is you got to be really tight. You got to be really sharp when your student athletes are sharp. When they enjoy learning and they enjoy studying and they enjoy the whole teaching mechanism, you got to be tight as a teacher because they'll be able to be able to figure out when you don't know what you're talking about, or they'll ask you questions. It makes you really detailed as a coach.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, it keeps you sharp because some of those questions that they're willing to ask that some kids may not be willing to ask.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you feel like you've had to brush up on your math? Do you feel like you've had to look at current events and history and whatnot? I mean, do you have somebody come up to you and say, hey, Coach Smith, we learned this at school today. They start talking about all this stuff, and you're like, man, I gotta go home. I gotta spend some time looking at the film, and then I gotta spend some time online, looking up the Vietnam War, so I could talk to this running back I got tomorrow. I mean, do you feel like it's pushed you to challenge yourself academically even to this day after being a student?
Yeah, man, you got to keep, like I said, you got to keep the game tight. I got a guy right now. Um, he can identify each country by just the shape. Each country, any country. And Dan, I went down about 60 countries because when people told me about it, I couldn't believe it. The
Yeah.
kid told me, I got photographic memory, coach. I remember these since sixth grade. So shoot, man. When you got guys who, sharp like that, you got to stay up.
I'm going to hit you with something if you'll let me do it because you talk about sixth grade. I can name every single president in order, starting with the first one. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, hold on. Let me make sure I got. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I got a list out in front of me though. I'm gonna make sure you ain't trying to just tell me
No,
something.
you
I
fact check me.
believe you. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, man. I had to fact check him.
Yeah, so make sure when you get that up there on your screen, then I will do it. And I got nothing I'm looking at. I got nothing on my screen. Hand to God.
Perfect.
I got a
Perfect. I'm ready.
I got a picture of Jesus next to me, and I'm gonna hold this picture so y'all know I'm not lying.
You're
Okay?
gonna need him here.
Because God is good. Here we go.
Yep.
Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, Tyler, Polk, Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, A. Johnson, Grant, Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, B. Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, T. Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, L.B. Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump.
That's good. That's good, man. That's sweet right there, baby.
And that is my eighth grade social studies teacher from Christian Brothers Academy. And I got a photographic memory too, so I can see her in
There we
my head
go.
right now. God bless her because she is the reason why. I guess that's like a party trick, but people are like, "Man, you can't
No.
name every president." I said, "Bet money." So-
So there you go, man. You got something you can hold on, man. That dude knows shapes of the countries. You got the dang on presidents.
yeah, there we go. What do you got, Jerome? What can you give us today?
Man, I can tell you how to read inside zone. I'll tell you some football stuff.
All right, okay. So
Like,
I want you to do
I
that for
learned that at a young age.
Yeah, so I want you to do that right now. I want you to pick something and I want you
Yeah.
to teach my audience
Yep.
something football related on reading a play because you turn on Madden and people see all those things and we're like, I know what receiver I'm going to, I know what I'm doing, and they're not really even reading. And if you're like me growing up, like I didn't know a lot about football growing up. I played basketball, so when they showed me all the defenses, I just randomly picked stuff. So now I want you to teach somebody something that's watching and listening right now.
Teach somebody something that's watching and listening.
Yeah,
All right,
something
cool.
football. Yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll read it. We'll read out power. We'll read out power. So the way we read power out, we read it A gap. We read it A gap out. If the A gap's closed, we get to the next gap, which is the B gap. If the B gap's closed, we get to the C gap, and we'll get to the D gap. We read it A gap out.
Okay. So for
Mhm.
somebody that's sitting here going, like if there's somebody watching and listening, they go, I have no idea
Yep.
what an A gap is. I have no idea what a
All
B
right.
gap is. Break it down even more.
All right, here we go. Right, the A gap is between the guard and the center. The
Yeah.
B gap is between the is between the guard and tackle.
Yeah.
C gap between the tackle and the tight end. Then outside of that is the D gap outside the tight end typically.
Yeah, so we're going outside the tight end. So when you look at that, so I'm writing it down so people can kind of get a feel for it. So between the guard and the center is the A gap when you talk about
Yep.
run and power. So between the guard and the center is the A gap. Between the guard and the tackle is the B gap.
Yep.
And then between
Tackle and
the
tight
tackle and
end.
tight end is the C gap, and then outside the
And
tight
outside
end is the
of the
D.
tight end is D gap. Yep.
All right, so folks, like essentially, you're looking at something like this, and I know that I put one guard on the other side. But when you're taking a look at when you're running power, you're either going to go through the hole that's created between the guard and the center, the guard and the tackle and the tight end, or outside of the tight end. And those are the four different ways to run power from A to D. You just taught something, and you made it so easy, Jerome. So, I mean, shout out to you
Yeah,
for that.
man. When you've done it, you typically can use the experience, and experience usually helps you out a little bit. That way, you can simplify it for people.
So I'm going to ask you this. As a running back and as a 1,000-yard single season rusher,
Yep,
what gap did you have the most success in your opinion, at Syracuse?
definitely the A gap.
Okay.
Definitely the A and B gap. Yeah, I was more of a downhill runner, so I had more success in those A and B gaps.
And when
Oh,
you
it's a little bit tougher in those A and B gaps rather than getting out to the C and D gaps. It's a little bit tougher.
yeah,
It
because
all works, but it's tough sledding in that A and B gap.
yeah, because what you're doing is you're essentially I mean, the definition of what it is, you're powering through the
Yeah,
interior of the line as opposed to bouncing outside. So, powering through that line, share with people that don't know, because I know you had an awesome line, you had great guys on it. So, when you were
yeah.
going between the guard and the center or the guard and the tackle, bring me into who you had blocking for you.
Oh man, I had center. I had Mackie McPherson.
Mm-hmm.
Right guard, I had Rob Trudeau.
Mm-hmm.
Right tackle, I had everybody from Hickey to Sean Hickey to Lou Alexander. Tight end, I had Provo. I had Beckett Wells. I had some pretty good guys blocking up front here.
Yeah, you
Uh,
definitely did.
the left A gap or left side, we had Zach Shabane. We had Justin Pugh. So I've been fortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, you had guys that, I mean, in the case of Justin Pugh, right, a long time in the NFL. So to
First
say
rounder.
right, and a first rounder, and I know I've mentioned this before, but I think about this, and I will, God willing, I mean, my memory will stay strong my whole life. And this is a moment, if I'm going to remember moments about you, Jerome, there's ones that are very easy. And like I always say to you when I call you three words, Jerome, because you and I would talk for a long time. And then the media would swarm you and the cameras would go on and you'd give really short answers. And you'd be dead serious. Like as soon as you saw the lights go on, you're like this, and then the camera will go off, and you're like, "What's up, Dan?" So like,
Yeah, man.
we have a different relationship, and so that's one thing I remember about you. The other thing I remember about you is when you were being honored in a post game press conference, and they brought you up on stage, and you walked up on stage, and there was no like sitting down and this and that, like it was just like a platform, and you mentioned these guys that you just talked about. You had your offensive line stand behind you, and you stood up there, and people were just taking pictures because you refused to go up there and be honored without honoring them. And I don't even know if you even talked about yourself when you were up there that day. Not much.
Yeah. No, no, man. At a young age, I learned that shoot, those other people make that thing happen for you. You obviously been gifted and have talent, but without the guys up front, opening up the holes, you're not going to be a very good running back without those guys. And it took some learning and development. We hung out in the summertime. We went out to eat together. I paid for a couple of those guys' dinners. We had some running back and O-line dinners that we hung out with.
Yeah.
So, man, we earned the right, and those guys did a really good job putting up with me. I wasn't always fun. Always wasn't fun to deal with on the sideline. But those guys did a really good job with me, and I was like I said, man, I'm fortunate to play with some of those guys.
How much did those meals cost, Jerome?
Pretty penny for a college student. It wasn't in the IL then. It was coming out of my pocket.
I was gonna say you probably had to wash some dishes
Yeah,
in the back to try and make
yeah,
sure you're
man.
feeding these offensive
Yeah,
linemen.
it was coming out of my Christmas money.
Yeah. So hey, so just so y'all know, to the family members of Jerome Smith, if some nieces and nephew or like whoever out there, if y'all didn't get cousins, aunts, uncles, if you didn't get something from Jerome a few years ago, it was because he was paying for some offensive linemen and they don't eat light. So
Yeah,
Jerome,
absolutely.
so Jerome, for you, when you reflect on those moments, you said you weren't always easy on the sideline. Why?
Yeah. Uh, just the competitive side, wanting to get after it, and wanting to have success. And sometimes you're young and you haven't developed. I never understood. One of the things that Coach Wheatley had gave us was um, guys usually pick up things their junior year. And maybe my younger years, I hadn't picked it up yet. You wanted wanted the success. Um, but like I said, those guys worked with me, and we had the success we had. We had 1,000-yard seasons. We had bowl game years, so it all worked out.
Yeah, and seeing the success that you had and the hard work that you put in and just how dedicated you were to your craft and how you came up and how you grew. I mean, there was success obviously in the history of Syracuse running backs, and you look at an Antoine Bailey, right? And
Yep.
then we see you come in and do your thing. I've talked to him about this. I've talked to you about this. I think the next guy that should have been in line and should have gotten the ball because he really didn't do much wrong with it was Adonis Amin Moore. And then we keep going it forward from there. I mean, when you look back and you look at Syracuse history, and you don't just look behind you at Ernie Davis and Jerome Smith and Larry Zonka and Floyd Little, who obviously you got to spend some time with, and so on and so forth. But you look forward and you look after you to
Yep.
Sean Tucker, to LaQuint Allen Jr., to a Yasin Willis right now. So,
Yeah.
what can you say about Syracuse history before you and what you think about Syracuse history after you, which includes the single season all-time leader in rushing yards in Sean Tucker, who was an undrafted rookie, made it
Yep.
to the Bucks, got on the 53-man roster, and has now played for 3 straight years. The Bucks have not let him go, and he just played most recently, and he may be playing again this week.
Yeah. Oh well, man. You obviously see the history in running backs. You see the tradition that we have in the running back room. Yeah, obviously, you talked about the past, and that was one of the things that got me here was the tradition of the three, the big three. Obviously, people miss out on obviously the Jims and the Floyd and Ernie's, but shoot, man, Larry Zonka's, you know
Joe
what I'm saying?
Morris.
So you know what I'm saying? So it's a ton of guys down that list that you can go, Joe Morris of the world, that you go
Yeah.
down the list, and it's constantly you can look back and see how many running backs came from there, and then you start looking toward the future, and you start seeing the guys we've had recently. Like you said, the Sean Tuckers, the Quint Allens, obviously watching him, been a big fan of him since he was a player there. And now watching Willis, man, huge fan of him, a huge fan of him and Nixon. Love the way Nixon blocks. He blocks his tail off out there in the backfield. So when I do have a chance to obviously peek at it, I'm locked in on what the running backs are doing, and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, so what I wanted to kind of get into here was looking at the running backs that are there. I mean, they have guys that are going to be working potentially toward the future. They have a Tyleek Hill, they have a Jaden Hart, and of course, we both mentioned Yasin Willis and Will Nixon, who I love talking to, is a big Spider-Man fan. So him and I have some awesome
okay,
conversations. And then
yeah,
there's a guy that is so very good, and he's gone through injury, and he's incredibly talented, and he would be a huge loss if Syracuse doesn't have him in the future, is Malachi James. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said about this. I do want to ask you this question, though, about the guys that we have seen the most of, and that's Yasin Willis and Will Nixon. Do you see NFL caliber in either or both, and why?
I think they both got the potential. I think they both get an opportunity at the NFL. I think obviously both those guys are bigger guys. Those guys are bigger physical guys, and when you bring that component to the next level, I think you got a chance ultimately. Being able to run and hit, that's what they want to see in the NFL. I think both of those dudes can run a hit, and they're not afraid to. So I think right there they carry, an attribute that gives them an opportunity to be successful at that next level. I think they both do. Obviously, we don't use Willis as much as I would like to in the passing game, but it's because you got a freaking older guy there who's a really good pass protector in Nixon, um, and also a really good pass catcher. So he answers that bell. But Willis has time. I think he has the time to get into that role to catch the ball a little bit more. Show his pass pro a little bit more. But you see that from Will Nixon. He invites it. I like guys like Will Nixon.
Yeah, yeah, no, talent from both, and between the two of them, got in the end zone 7 times so far this season. Obviously, more with Angeli, and 4 touchdowns rushing for Yasin Willis, and 4 on the ground for Will Nixon. And Yasin Willis had 3 touchdowns against Tennessee of the SEC in that first game that was supposed that we say neutral at the Aflac kickoff in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but that was 95% Tennessee, and he still got 3 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah.
Looking at the offense, Jerome, I'd love to get your thoughts. I mean, you're a former player. You had some work in the NFL. You had some opportunity with the Atlanta Falcons, and so I mean, when I think about what you were able to do, how hard you worked, how dedicated you are, and coming from a place where you probably had a chip on your shoulder because there wasn't a lot of focus on, taking guys out of your area and whatnot, and you definitely made a name for yourself. Now you're coaching running backs. How do you assess Syracuse's offense? If you take away a defensive touchdown by Anwar Sparrow within the last couple of weeks, which is against North Carolina, if you take that away, Syracuse has, I'll give them the extra point after that touchdown. So they have 64 points scored in 6 weeks. They're averaging less than 11 points on offense per game. And the
Yeah.
defense has gotten better. The defense has risen its ability. They've gotten to the quarterback, Demetrius Samuel, and some of the young guys have shown out, Antoine Delorier and whatnot. We've seen David Reese elevate himself coming in as a transfer. But
Yeah.
this offense is quiet. I have my thoughts. I have my scheming that I would have done if I was Jeff Nixon, the offensive coordinator. But I don't want to load the question by saying what I would have done. I want to know
Yeah.
what you think about the offense and maybe what you would do as an offensive side of the ball coach.
Oh man, I think it's awesomely hard when you got injuries and you got some young guys playing. I don't really think it has anything to do with schematics at that point. It's got to do with the experience and um, obviously Coach Brown and did some of the things he needed to do to move stuff around on the staff to kind of get the fire going. Um, but I do think there's a thing to you know being a youthful team, being a young team has something to it. Again, man, we play a physical sport, a contact sport, to where the size, the weight, the experience has a little bit more value versus other sports, in my opinion. So I don't. I mean, I love what they do because I mean, shoot, we were all fans of it last year when Kyle was dunking the ball down the field, and Quint was running all over the place. So I think the scheme works. We've shown that we've been shown that the scheme works. I think we just gotta get healthy, and like I said, those young guys will turn into old guys, and some of those drop passes or some of those reads will become easier. I think we'll be fine now.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at if I'm Jeff Nixon, and I know he likes to throw the ball, but if I'm Jeff
Yeah,
Nixon, who I respect and I always love my
he's a
time
running
with,
back guy.
yeah, I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, you got Yasin and you got Will, so if you're struggling to pass the ball and these quarterbacks, are maybe not making great decisions, why not RPO this thing? Why not use Ricky's legs? Is that something that you think maybe could? I mean, they got a couple games to play. Is that something on your mind of saying like, hey, Yasin and Will are huge, awesome opportunities for you. Dan
Yeah,
Villari's been good in the Wildcat. He can throw, he can catch, he can run. So do they maybe just say, heck, we got a couple more games and we know Dan Villari's finishing up his career. So let's
yeah.
rock with him. Let's rock with power, and let's just systematically back you into your own end zone slowly but surely. Do you think that at this point, maybe just lean on the run and be that old style Syracuse, which has tough defense and just rams the ball more than they pass it?
I haven't watched every game. That's where I'll tell you that I haven't had a chance to watch every game 'cause I'm too busy in my own world right now.
Yeah.
But what I will say, obviously, I do believe those guys are going to do what it takes to win games. Um, I do think if there was RPO, to call, I do believe they would have made the call already. Because I know, everybody wants to win. I don't think guys are, game planning to lose 'cause I know how hard it is to be on that other side when you're game planning. But I do think, they'll go to what works. Obviously, like you said, Valari, and I watched Valari in the bowl game do some of that Wildcat stuff and, be able to end the year off like that. Um, well, we'll see what they got moving forward. Uh, Maybe Collins picks it up, or whoever we got going this week. Maybe they pick it up and start to get some success going, and this thing will carry over into next year for them.
Yeah. Hoping for the best for Syracuse as we step forward. Jerome Smith, as always, sir, we get to end our conversation by playing some rapid fire. So you get to ask the first question. What do you got for me?
Um, Syracuse a bowl game team next year.
It depends if Steve Angeli's healthy. It depends if he stays. It depends if there's not a mass exodus. So there's guys that I kind of don't necessarily feel like are going to be here, and they're going to have to make up.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So they're going to have to make up for that. And yeah, so I think it's a big old question mark. And they got to, schedule's not going to be easy. So I want to say yes. I mean, I thought a healthy Syracuse team going in this year was 8-4. So,
Okay.
I would like to hope for yes, but it's a lot of how many names are in the portal and who are those names, and Steve being healthy. So I want to cautiously optimistically say yes, but there's a lot of
Okay.
ifs that are going into that.
All
My
right.
my
I'm in.
question back to you, Rome. If you ever had the opportunity in your career to come back and coach at Syracuse, what position would you want to coach? What job would you want to have? I know you like to challenge yourself. So, are you a coordinator? Are you running backs coach? What are you doing? Like what would be the job?
I don't even know if it would take a certain type of job. I just think Syracuse my dream job. I love Syracuse. Obviously, I loved it as a player. I loved it coming back to it as an alum. It's just one of those places got a unique feeling, man. I love the snow. That may be crazy to say at this age, but shoot, man, I love the snow. I love the weather. Um, I love the toughness of the city. It's a one of a kind place.
Yeah,
It's a unique
and
place, man.
well, and you talk about, I mean, you come from Bear, Delaware,
Yeah,
and but you're one of them bears that don't hibernate. So
yeah,
that's a good
uh,
thing. What's
yeah.
your
I love the area.
what's your and I love that you talked about the strength in the fight because that's my hometown. So thank you for that. I'm happy that
Yeah,
you see that.
tough place, good wings.
Yeah. So what do you got for good wings? He says too. What's your next question for me?
All right, next question. Next question.
Yes, sir.
Um, Willis or Nixon?
Those are my guys, man.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have a favorite.
Those
You
are my
gotta have.
those are my guys, man. Oh boy, that's tough. All right, y'all might be watching and listening to this, and I love y'all both, and so I'm gonna say that because that's real. Also, I do want to preface with this because I talked about this last night. So I said to Yasin Willis, I was like, I know you're laughing because you think I'm being political, but I'm not. I'm having fun. So Yasin, I asked him this season early on.
Yeah.
I said everybody's got nicknames. You know, when you got two running backs, y'all got nicknames. I said Thunder and Lightning and whatnot. So I said, who are you guys? And you can go watch it on my YouTube channel. It's on my Syracuse football playlist. It's on there on youtube.com/WakeUpCall DT. But I said to him, who are you? And he looked back and goes, Batman and Robin. I said, Batman and Robin? He said, yeah, Batman and Robin. He said, you know, I'm Batman. I'm going through the cut, you know, like hit you hard. And then he said, and then, you know, we got Robin over here who's like a little bit quiet, but he still like gets the thing done. And within a
Yeah,
few
no
weeks,
doubt.
would you say?
I said no doubt. Yeah, yeah.
So within a few weeks of us having that conversation, he, on his Instagram story, because we're connected on social media, on his story, he had Christian Bale when he was playing Bruce Wayne, and he's like he's looking at the ground and he's in front of his bat suit. And so I wrote to him and I was like, man, I'm so happy that you're embracing what you said. That like he really does. Like we had that conversation about him being Batman, and now he's been living in that world. So, man, if I had to choose between Will Nixon and Yasin Willis, I'm gonna give a slight edge right now to Yasin because I see him in the NFL more so right now than I see Will, but I want them both to get in, and Yasin's
Yeah.
got time and Will's finishing up his time, so I hope Will gets it. And pass pro is really important for a running back and catching the ball out of the backfield, so he does a lot of good things. But if you're
Yeah.
making me choose, I'm gonna give a slight edge to Yasin. Will, don't kill me for that. So that's what
Oh, Batman.
yeah, I'm going with Batman. So,
Yeah.
all right, Rome.
Yeah. Come on.
Let me hit you with something here. Who's your favorite broadcaster of all time?
Dan Tortora. That's easy.
Yeah, don't lie to
That's
me.
easy. That's easy. That's easy. My man DT, man. That's easy. That's
Okay.
an easy answer. I don't. And obviously, you know, I've been watching Chris Berman since I was a kid. I've been watching during Mike Tirico. I'm going with DT, man. If I got a favorite, I'm going with my guy.
Man, that very kind of you. Very kind of
Man,
you.
it's easy.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. So, I don't even know what to say to that. It's an honor. It's a privilege, and I thank you. You got one more
Hey,
question.
take the compliment and roll, man. That's easy.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. What's your last question for me?
Last question. Jaguars gonna finish. Jaguars gonna finish up strong here.
This team that made me so angry.
They could be really good, man. Holy
I
cow.
I know. And you know, like yeah, Travis Hunter's out and he's a rookie and he does different things, but
Ah,
like you know, it's this defense was like they started out number 1 in takeaways in the country. And then they give up 26 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to a backup quarterback. And I'm not taking away from Davis Mills because I like Davis Mills. I'm just saying it's like it's not even CJ Stroud and they're giving up almost 30 points and losing the game. But then they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. It's like, you know, and then they in overtime, you know, beat the Raiders on the road. So, I mean, I want to say they're going to finish strong. I want to believe that. But, I mean, the Colts are extremely good. The Patriots are extremely good. The Bills, you know, they're going to be around. Ravens, hopefully Lamar stays healthy, and they're going to be around with that. By the way, one of the only people that said Lamar was going to be a good quarterback in the NFL, because when I said that, I was crickets. But I definitely I remember saying it, and I just had that feeling like people probably think I'm stupid right now, but that's all right. And then because a lot of people were against him, which was crazy. But I mean, feet to the fire. The Texans, I mean, listen, they just lost to the Texans, so you're not helping yourself. The Titans are not great in any stretch of the imagination, unfortunately, and I'm hoping that Cam Ward and the team can get it together for the future. But they did fire Mike Vrabel, which is a massive mistake, and he's been great for New England. So I thought New England should have hired him 2 years ago. They listened to me a year later, and best team in the AFC. But
Yeah.
I, if they're gonna make it, I mean, it's gonna be like the seventh spot. So I think they're gonna be just out of it, Jerome. But I'm happy to see that they've pleasantly surprised me. I just, they're more like, I think maybe the culture is getting better because it was bad,
Okay.
but I don't know if they're going to make it this year. They might be just outside. And then my last question for Jerome Smith. Food that you miss the most from Syracuse and why?
Delmonico's.
What did you get? What did you eat there?
The Delmonico steak. The
Oh,
Delmonico steak, the calamari. Uh, I can't wait to get back. I can't wait to get back to a Delmonico steak and calamari.
how about
Obviously, most people gonna say dinosaur. Every time I get back, I get dinosaur. I was back for a summer camp at Syracuse had a summer camp this past summer, and I made sure I stopped at dinosaur before I left town. But there's a Delmonico steak waiting for me.
let me say this to you. When you come back, you let me know. You and I will go to Delmonico's.
Oh man, that's major. Yeah, we'll definitely hit it up.
That's what we're doing. We're going to Delmonico's. So
Yeah,
with that,
I'll figure out when I get some free time. When I get some free time, I'll let you know when I'll be coming through town.
yeah, you got some games to win and things to do with the Bucknell Bison. What do you want to
Yes,
say?
sir.
Final note from you, Jerome. What do you want to say to the world about Bucknell football? What you want to say about what you've done, what you're working to do, and anything that you want to share with the community that's supported this team throughout the season so far, knowing that you got a couple more matchups that are waiting for you here against Holy Cross and Colgate at the time we're talking.
Yeah, well, shoot, man, the hay's never in the barn. We're just gonna keep working. That's gonna be our goal these next 2 weeks. We'll take it a week at a time, and our goal is to go 1-0 in the Patriot League each week. So shoot, that's all we're gonna do.
Coming from Jerome Smith. It always goes by so fast, and I never know how to
Yes,
say
sir.
goodbye, so I won't. I will say see you soon.
Man, see you
I,
later, brother.
I'm looking forward to Delmonico's, so I love you, brother.
For sure, man. Appreciate you. Much love.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.